My name is Claire and I'm Chief Executive of the Thoroughbred Breeders Association. Welcome to the second of our quarterly 2022 video updates, reporting on the main areas of activity of the TBA Board and Executive. The TBA Board met twice during the second quarter of 2022, with the main items of discussion as follows.
It's been another fantastic quarter for the Great British Bonus. This May proved to be our biggest month ever, with just under $750,000 paid out. That brought our bonus total to just over $6.4 million to 367 fillies over 470 races. At the end of May, we had our yearling registration deadline for 2021 fillies, in which we secured 90% of the eligible crop, a phenomenal response. Looking forward, we're preparing for a busy autumn. The yearling sales will be getting underway, with hundreds of GB fillies will go under the hammer. And of course, our two imminent deadlines, Stage 3 for 2019 National Hunt fillies at the end of August, and Stage 1 for this year's foals, which closes on the 30th of September.
The TBA has continued to be represented in discussions on the future governance structure of the BHA by the Chair and myself, where good progress is being made. I also represent the TBA on the Fixtures and Funding Group, where we were disappointed that the proposal we supported to reduce the number of races programmed in 2023 was not progressed, and we will continue to support initiatives that aim to improve the competitiveness of British racing in the best long-term interests of the sport. The TBA have progressed the development of the guidelines on the preparation and sale of thoroughbreds at public auction. The text will highlight best practice and builds on our guidelines document published in October 2021. These new guidelines have been extensively reviewed by breeders, vets, the sales houses and consigners, and will be published in advance of the 2022 yearling sales. The TBA has also contributed to the thoroughbred sector response to the UK Government consultation on improvements to equine ID and traceability, which was submitted in late June. This response outlines the critical importance of digitisation of equine ID in Great Britain to overcome the challenges of increased paperwork and bureaucracy following Brexit, and to help ensure that the British thoroughbred industry remains at the forefront of the international thoroughbred sector, facilitating trade arrangements with new global markets. The government have reviewed their implementation plan for checks on imports from the EU, concerned that it would not be right to make changes which could inadvertently create further risks within critical supply chains. As a result, they decided not to implement the planned EU import controls on goods, including live animals, in July 2022. Instead, they will review the control regime and set out a revised implementation plan that exploits technology and minimises administrative burdens. They expect to issue this plan in the autumn. We are continuing to lobby and present solutions to improve the movement of thoroughbreds. This included a meeting with our local MP, who has made representations to the relevant ministers on our behalf, organising a visit to Newmarket of DEFRA and APHA officials to highlight the high standards of welfare of thoroughbred breeding stock, and ongoing engagement with HMRC to provide a solution to eradicate the need to provide VAT security on temporary imports. The report, based on the recent survey on staff recruitment, training and retention in the British thoroughbred breeding industry, has been received and discussed by the TBA Education and Employment Committee. The survey clearly highlights the growing issue for stud employers with recruitment and retention, and the TBA is setting up a working group to consider its findings and follow-up actions. The TBA have also been contributing to the development of a proposed industry CPD framework for its educational activity and courses, and the introduction of an industry code of conduct, including the preparation of communications and an education programme. The detail of both of these are expected to be announced later this year. The TBA board approved the appointment of full-time resource and investment in specialist support for the TBA e-learning platform, which is a vital tool to improve the reach and accessibility of training in the industry.
During Q2, the TBA hosted 4 events which included the National Hunt Breeders Awards evening and 3 regional days. The 8th National Hunt Breeders Awards evening, kindly sponsored by Goffs UK, celebrated and rewarded British bred successes on the racecourse in the 2021-22 National Hunt season and included the presentation of 14 awards. This sellout gala evening was hosted by Nick Luck, and the 160 guests included media and industry representatives, breeders, trainers and agents. Our first regional day was held in Lambourne, with guests meeting trainer Ed Walker on the gallops, before being shown round his historic Kingsdown stables. Following lunch, the group moved on to the beautiful Watership Down stud, where they were looked after impeccably by Simon Marsh and his knowledgeable staff. The South East Regional Day started with a tour of Gary Moore's Siswood stables, followed by a walk with the trainer to the gallops to see his horses in action and to discuss their forthcoming campaigns. A trip to Hickstead followed, where members were entertained by Shane Breen from Breen Equestrian and shown some of his beautifully behaved stallions, one of whom went on to win the Hickstead Derby the following day. During lunch, Tina Cook gave an informal talk on the transition from racing to eventing, for the horses retiring from the racetrack, and a lively discussion on kissing spines with vet Ed Lyle rounded off a very successful day. Our third event took place in Newmarket with a tour around Charlie Fellowes' Bedford House stables and a trip to the gallops before moving on to the immaculate Old Mill stud, where Rob Spears gave an informative talk on the history and the future plans for the 100-acre stud. After lunch, the final visit of the day was to Godolphin's very impressive Lifetime Care Programme facility, where members were shown 10 horses preparing for life outside racing. These popular regional days not only give our members the opportunity to see behind the scenes at venues not often open to the public, but also to network with other breeders in their local area.
The new legislation restricting the use of red diesel to agriculture, forestry and horticulture operations came into force on the 1st of April 2022. The TBA have joined in the racing industry's lobbying efforts, including detailing the impact of this restriction, and a letter has been sent to the Treasury, from which we await a response. The TBA has agreed a new supply agreement with the ROA, where TBA members shall continue to receive the Owner Breeder magazine for the next 12 months, through to June 2023. The publication will also continue to feature the Chairman's Leader and the TBA forum pages. The TBA will be co-funding 2 new exciting pieces of research with the Horse Race Betting Levy Board that align with our purpose to encourage the improvement of the thoroughbred horse in Great Britain. Dr. Mandy Demestra and her team at the RVC have previously produced excellent research into early pregnancy loss, funded by the TBA, and we look forward to advancing this research further. In supporting a research scholarship about musculoskeletal disorders in newborn foals, we hope this will benefit breeders and the horses in their care, and also support the Levy Board's aim to develop future veterinary research scientists. The board also received a presentation from veterinarian John Spencer on alternative breeding methods to bring them up to date with latest developments in this area. 70 guests from 23 countries on 6 continents were welcomed to Newmarket for a biennial conference hosted by the ITBF and the British TBA in early June. An extensive programme of events took place around the Newmarket area to showcase the British racing and breeding industry, and the opportunity to network with other nations proved invaluable, especially after the cancellation of the 2020 event in Paris due to the pandemic. Informative presentations were made during the general and veterinary meetings by many leading industry figures from the spectrum of countries across the globe, and represented on topics including equine welfare and racing social licence to operate, environmental sustainability, gene doping and the pattern. And a vote was taken to confirm the ITBF's ongoing position that no artificial breeding methods would be permitted worldwide in the breeding of the thoroughbred horse. If you have follow-up questions on any of these topics, please do contact the team at Stansted House or any of our trustees to discuss further.